and government officials guide society in a very specific forward direction towards an end goal in mind.
It kind of seems, Jonah, like the film Metropolis. It was all about class struggle and social control.
Right. Now was the era of political parties and political movements that were going to guide society forward. Planning, which empowers the planners. There was this revolution in Europe and in the United States. In America, we called it progressivism. Soviet Union, they called it communism. In Italy, they called it fascism. The flagship magazine of American liberalism, The New Republic, celebrated Benito Mussolini throughout the 1920s. FDR had nice things to say about Benito Mussolini. Mussolini reviews FDR's book and says, hey, this guy's one of us. He's a fascist. And it's important to remember that fascism back then wasn't about the Holocaust. It was about planning and experimenting and ushering in this new progressive era.
Now, one of the very important strands of modern progressivism, the idea of eugenics, who is the figure that comes to mind who embodies this?
I mean, the obvious answer to the question is Margaret Sanger.
Thank you for coming. I'm Margaret Sanger.
Margaret Sanger is the founder of Planned Parenthood.
Hello.
In the mid-1920s, Margaret Sanger spoke to a group that came to hear her in full regalia.
Eugenics means the release and cultivation of the better racial elements in our society and the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual extirpation of defective stocks, those human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization. The most merciful thing that a large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it.
By Sanger's time, techniques of racial elimination like lynching had become taboo within the Democratic Party. And so Sanger pioneered a different approach to bring about a similar result. How would you describe Margaret Sanger's so-called Negro Project?
The Negro Project was to bring these birth control and other eugenic measures into the black community. She hired black ministers expressly to sell the idea.
We don't want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members.
Surely today's Democratic Party leaders would repudiate Margaret Sanger.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. I am really in awe of her. And there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from her life and from the cause she launched and fought for and sacrificed so greatly.
Good afternoon, this is Autumn.
Hello, Autumn. I'm interested in making a donation today.
Fantastic.
What about abortions for the underprivileged minority groups? Would that be possible? Like the black community, for example?
Certainly.
It is unfortunate that Planned Parenthood has been the object of such a concerted attack.
What would you expect for intact tissue? What sort of compensation? What would make you happy? What would work for you? I want to live.
I really face trouble with affirmative action, and I don't want my kids being disadvantaged, against black kids. I just had a baby, I want to put it in his name, and we just think, the less black kids out there, the better.
Understandable.
So I'm hoping that this situation will not further undermine the very important services that Planned Parenthood provides.
Hello, this is Sue. May I help you?
Hi, Sue. I'm interested in making a donation. Could I specify that abortion be done, or those abortions be done for a particular minority group?
If you wish, you can.
Okay. So for example, the black community in Tulsa, the abortions will be done specifically for the black community abortions.
Great.
Today, the vast majority of Planned Parenthood clinics are located in our neighborhoods.
That's what they're saying.
We were tricked through a slick marketing campaign, but now that that's unraveling, people are saying, wait a minute, they sell baby parts?
What happened to my baby?
Standing up and fighting for progressive values.
And the Nazis admired Sanger and actually patterned some of their programs along the lines of things that she suggested.
Yeah, the first people who get wiped out under the Nazis actually aren't the Jews. They're mentally unfit, invalids and all that. They went through the hospitals and they cleaned those guys out.
What happened to Carrie Buck?
Carrie Buck is a tragic and a really important story. Carrie Buck is this young woman that was supposed to be, quote unquote, feeble-minded. They wanted to forcibly sterilize her. Her case went all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Miss, you need to calm down. I need to miss this. We're gonna need another doctor.
Oliver Wendell Holmes says that it's okay to forcibly sterilize this young woman who wasn't feeble-minded. She read, she was, perfectly competent, but certainly didn't deserve to be forcibly sterilized. And he says in this famous damning line in his opinion, 3 generations of imbeciles is enough. Forcibly sterilized back in those days meant something. It meant holding this woman down, doing these terrible things to her through the power of the state, simply because the state had this idea of what the population should look like and who should have the right to be able to have children. Tens of thousands of people across the United States were sterilized. The opening video of the Democratic Convention in 2012, government is the one thing we all belong to. No, government belongs to us. We don't belong to it. We are citizens, not subjects. You remember the Life of Julia ad that the Obama administration put out? Every frame begins with the words, under President Obama, Julia gets this kind of scholarship and this kind of loan and this kind of promised job. The creepiest sentence in modern American political history.